Alright, here's skill number 1. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing fractions. The first problem, 2 1/3 plus 5 3/4. These two mixed numbers do not have common denominators. So with 3 and 4 we can choose 12 for a common denominator. So we have to rewrite each fraction with a common denominator of 12. So this would be 2 and so many twelfths plus 5 and so many twelfths. To make a 3 become a denominator of 12, I can multiply 3 by 4. So likewise, the 1 times the 4 gives me 4 twelfths. So 2 1/3 became 2 and 4 twelfths. 4 times 3 is 12. So 3 times 3 on top gives me 9. So 5 3/4 becomes 5 and 9 twelfths. And now to add them up, the whole parts, 2 plus 5 is 7. And 4 twelfths plus 9 twelfths gives me 13 twelfths. Because 13 twelfths is more than one whole, I can simplify that. 13 twelfths is really 1 whole and 1 twelfth. So my 7 and 13 twelfths becomes 8 and 1 twelfth. And that is my simplest form answer. Second problem, 12 2/5 minus 3/4. Once again, we do not have a common denominator, so 5 and 4, we can use 20 for our common denominator. So that's going to be 12 and so many 20ths minus another fraction out of 20. So 5 times 4 makes 20, so 2 times 4 makes 8. So 12 and 2/5 becomes 12 and 8/20. 4 times 5 is 20, so 3 times 5 is 15. And the problem here is we can't take 15/20 from 8/20, but I can borrow 1 whole from the 12, so that 12 will become an 11. And the 1 whole that I borrowed, I can rewrite as 20/20. I already had 8/20 plus 20 more 20ths gives me 28/20. And now I have enough 20ths to be able to subtract those 15/20. So 11 whole minus no whole part here is 11. And 28/20 take away 15/20 is 13/20. And that is my simplest form answer. The next one, 1 3/5 times 5/8. Multiply fractions and mixed numbers, they all must be in fraction form. So 1 3/5 is 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8 8/5 times 5/8. And because we're multiplying and we have common factors on top and bottom of the fractions, 8 and 8 both divide by 8 and leave behind a 1. 5 and 5 both divide by 5, leave behind a 1. So my top of the fraction becomes 1 times 1, which is 1. The bottom of the fraction is 1 times 1, which is 1. And 1 divided by 1 gives me an answer of 1. Last one, 3/8 divided by 4 2/3. First of all, make them both fractions. 3/8 already is a fraction. 4 2/3 becomes 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14/3. Second part for dividing fractions, keep that first fraction and multiply the reciprocal of the second fraction. Because there are no common factors with 3 and 8 and 14, I can't simplify any numerator and denominator. So my answer is the 3 times the 3, which gives me 9, and then 8 times 14, which is 112. So my simplest form answer is 9 over 112. So study those 4 problems, and then here are 4 more problems for you to work on. So here are the 4 you can try. Right now, pause the video and work on these 4 problems, and then when you start the video, you can check your work because I'll work these 4 out for you. Alright, here are these 4 problems worked out. First one, 1 2/5 plus 1/4. No common denominator, so 5 and 4 we can use 20 for the common denominator. So rewrite each of these fraction parts over 20. 5 times 4 makes 20, so 2 times 4 makes 8. The 1/4, 4 times 5 makes 20, so 1 times 5 makes 5. And then add them together. So 1 whole plus no other whole part is 1, and 8/20 and 5/20 gives me 13/20. And that's my simplest form answer. Second one, 5 3/4 minus 1 2/3. 4 and 3 are not a common denominator. We can choose 12 for that common denominator. So rewrite each fraction with a common denominator of 12. 4 times 3 is 12. So 3 times 3 gives me 9. And then 1 2/3, 3 times 4 is 12. So 2 times 4 is 8. So now I have 2 mixed numbers with common denominators. I can subtract the whole parts. 5 minus 1 is 4. And 9/12 minus 8/12 is 1/12. Next problem, 2.5 times 1 3/10. First, make them both fractions. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, so that's 5 halves. And then 1 3/10 becomes 10 times 1 is 10 plus 3 is 13/10. And I can simplify this. 5 halves, I will leave it as written, but I can think of the 10 is really a 5 times 2. And because I'm multiplying, anything divided by itself leaves behind a placeholder of a 1. So this 5 and this 5 both leave behind 1s. So my numerator becomes 1 times 13, which is 13. My denominator becomes 2 times 2, which is 4, times 1 is 4. So you can leave it as 13/4 if you want. If you want to make it a mixed number, you could write that as 3 and 1/4. Either answer is fine. Letter D, 4 divided by 1 1/2. Keep the first problem about making a fraction, so it's going to be 4 over 1. For the second one, 1 1/2 is going to be 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3 halves. And then for dividing fractions, keep the first fraction as it was. Multiply the reciprocal of the second fraction. No common factors with 4 and 3 or 2 and 3 or 2 and 1. So my answer is 4 times 2, which is 8, over 1 times 3, which is 3. You can make that a mixed number if you choose. That's going to be 2 2/3. So that is my simplest form answer. There you go. That's skill 1.